We just had a surprise heat wave in the last few days. Thank goodness today it is cooler, but I know where you're at, it might be really hot or it's gonna get really hot. So let's talk about how we can help your chickens through that. Hello friends, welcome to Chickenlandia. My name is Dahlia. I'm a backyard chicken educator, also known as the president of Chickenlandia. Raising chickens has been the best way for me to find peace and joy in my life, and I want to help you find that too. I've got Bubbalicious here with me. Can you say hi, Bubbalicious? You are a good boy. Yes. I wanted to make this video weeks ago because I don't know what the temperature is. I don't know where it is, where you're at. It might be really hot already, but hopefully you can get some good information from this. I just want you to feel prepared so that you're not like worried about your chickens when you should be out sitting by the pool or something, okay? If you don't do anything else, you need to do two things. You need to make sure your chickens have water. And also you need to make sure that they have shady areas where they can go and get away, get out of the direct sun. If you don't have natural shade in your chicken yard, you do need to create that shade, but you can do that very easily. You can get tarps and put tarps up. You can get an umbrella. You can get like an old flat piece of wood and lean it against something. There just needs to be areas in your chicken yard where your chickens can get out of the sun and cool off a little bit. So I do have baby chicks here right now, and since we had this heat wave, I had to add shade to their little area where they were living with their mama. I've since let them out, and now they are in the yard. I'm not worried about their safety or anything. But when chicks are just born and when they're really little, I like to keep them separate from the flock just so I can make sure that mama is going to be able to protect them enough. What is going on? Oh gosh, somebody laid an egg. Okay, we get it. But after a few days, once I really feel confident that mama is has a good place in the pecking order and is going to be able to protect her chicks from the rest of the flock, then I will let them out and they'll have access to the whole yard. And usually, the other chickens will be curious. They'll come up to the mama and the baby chicks, and that mama will get really mad and let them know, you need to stay away from my babies. And then the I can't think. Okay, thank you. And then after that, the flock will just ignore the babies. But I did have to add shade to their area, and it doesn't look that great because it was a pinch. I had no idea there was going to be a heat wave coming. So I just took whatever I had, cardboard, pieces of like my kid's project or something, and I made a shady area, and it worked. It doesn't have to look perfect, but your chickens do need shade. They need to be able to get out of the direct sun. It is very important. One thing that I will tell you is don't use styrofoam for shade, okay? Because your chickens will eat styrofoam. I don't know what it is about styrofoam. It's like delicious to them. Chickens just don't know any better. They just don't know any better. I just threw some shade on my chickens. You don't know. There's nothing going on in there. Okay, the next thing is obviously your chickens need to have access to fresh, cool water. You want to put your water in the shade because if it's sitting in the direct sun, it's going to get hot, and you don't want that. If you can, try to get out, I don't know what somebody found. Oh, somebody found something. Someone's eating something. You want to go down and see? Okay. If you can, what would be really helpful is if you could get out to your chicken yard a few times a day and just replenish their water, make sure their water is cool. If you're going to work, put some ice in their water in the morning so it can melt during the day. Remember to run the hose for a few minutes before you fill their waterer up. The water that comes out of my hose when it's hot outside is it's hot. So I have to let it run for a little while, and then I will replenish their waterers. Even if you have gravity waterers, you might have to change it out if they get too hot. Okay, let's go into my coop. All right, I'm inside my coop. It is dirty in here right now, so I'm not gonna show you because even though I try to keep it real, I don't like to show it on camera when it's really dirty. But yes, my coop does get poopy and I have to clean it. Right now, it is due for a clean. All right, let's talk about ventilation. You need to have really good ventilation in your coop all the time, in the winter, in the summer. But in the summer, it is it's really good if you can have cross ventilation on the bottom of your coop. Like if you have a bigger coop, then that cool air is gonna come in and it'll be really nice for your chickens, especially at night. And then if you have any places where you have added ventilation, make sure that those areas are predator proofed. And what I mean by that is they need to be covered with something that is gonna keep predators out. And remember, weasels, they can get through itty bitty spaces. And rats can get through itty bitty spaces. And sometimes rats can do real damage, especially to baby chicks. But you need to make sure that you put some hardware mesh or some other type of wiring that is going to keep critters out of your coop. All right, so just keep that in mind when you're adding ventilation. All right, so let's say you've done all this stuff. You have made sure you've got good ventilation in your coop. You've made sure your chickens have shade, but it's still just like really hot. And you can tell that your chickens are having a tough time. You know, they probably have their wings out. They've got their mouths open, they're panting a little bit. These are normal things that chickens do to cool themselves down, but it's also, you know, if they're doing it all the time, that's really a sign where you maybe need to take some extra steps to make sure that they stay cool enough so that you don't run into any problems. So here are some extra things that you can do to help to cool your chickens down. We talked earlier about putting some ice in their water. You can also put some frozen berries in their water, or you can freeze water bottles and then take them and submerge those in their waterers, and that will really help to keep their water cool throughout the day. Adding electrolytes to their water during a heat wave is a really good idea. You don't want to keep them on electrolytes all the time, but during a heat wave, it's good to have them on some electrolytes. For about a couple of weeks, you can do it. If you do apple cider vinegar in their water, stop doing that when it's really hot and instead do some electrolytes in their water. There are many different brands of electrolytes that you can buy at the farm store, or you can buy it online. I also have a recipe for homemade electrolytes in my book. So if you have my book, you can look that up and make some electrolytes and put that in your chicken's water. And that's gonna be really good to keep them nice and hydrated during the really hot times of the year. So I do like to offer like a shallow dish of water, nothing like really deep, because like a kiddie pool or anything like that, that's dangerous actually for chickens. If chickens fall into it, they just can't swim very well. They get like super freaked out and they'll drown really quickly. Even if they don't drown, they can get water into their lungs and then have like that delayed drowning thing happen. I would get just some trays and put some water in it, and what they will do is they will come and stand in it. If it's really hot, they'll know to do that, and that will help to cool them down. We talked about getting some frozen water bottles and putting it in their water. You can actually get like the big jugs, like a milk jug, or other big container, big plastic container, fill it with water, freeze that, and just put it in their coop. Like put a couple of them in the coop, put a couple of them in other shaded areas. They'll stand next to it, like they'll be able to tell, okay, that's cold, that's cooler, and I'm hot, so I'm gonna go next to that. You guys know that I love giving chickens kitchen scraps. I think it is not only great for their health because it gets fresh nutrients into them, it's also great for the environment. It's a really sustainable practice. What you can do during a heat wave is give your chickens some scraps that are hydrated. So like watermelon rinds is a great one, or you can just give them a whole watermelon if you want to spoil them. Things like cucumber, you can get some greens and stuff, leave them in the fridge, and then give them those cooled off greens. I know that iceberg lettuce gets a really bad rap because it doesn't have a lot of nutrition in it, but in the summer, it's a great treat for your chickens, and I will keep that chilled and bring it out to them, and they will just be so appreciative for that because it's nice and hydrating for them, and it's good. Who doesn't like iceberg lettuce? You know? When it is really hot, I will come out to Chickenlandia and I'll just like spray down the shaded areas, and that just will cool things down a little bit. And I'll see like after I've sprayed down the areas, the chickens will go to that area and just cool down a little bit. The other thing you can do is you can keep your hose on mister all day long and put it in a shaded area, and they will go next to it and it'll be cooler. Make sure that any place where you're gonna put your misters is well ventilated to keep it from actually creating like a sauna, because you don't want that. That's like the opposite that you would want. And another thing is dust baths. Dust baths in a shaded area are great because they will get into that sand or that dirt and they'll take their dust bath and it will actually cool them off. And if you can put some kind of shading over a natural dust bath area, like just a natural place in their environment where they like to take dust baths, then they can get even further into the ground and get to like the cooler areas of the grounds. One thing that I really love to do when it's super hot outside is create a little makeshift air conditioner for my chickens, and it is so easy, okay? It is so easy, easy. I do have a video about it, and I'm gonna put that video right here. You can learn how to make your own little air conditioner for your chickens and keep them cool in the summer, and of course, it's 100% friendly. Backyard Chickens, education and entertainment, and I know you're gonna love it.